Welcome to Spooky Reviews from Spooky Ventures. I'm Gary Hill and I'm your host and reviewer. This is the 149th edition and today I'm looking at the Blu-Ray release of the Profane exhibit. This is an unusual movie. Generally I don't do negative reviews, and this is not a negative review, but for me, much of this movie was something I had to endure. It is definitely not a fun movie, although I did laugh at one section. This is an anthology film with 10 stories from 10 different directors. Most of the stories are in English, but there are some that are in other languages, most notably German, Italian, Spanish, and Japanese. All of those segments have English subtitles. This movie is bleak, exceptionally dark, gritty, and brutal. It features graphic nudity, both male and female, lots of simulated sex, frequent cannibalism, and body mutilation. None of the nudity or sex is in any way glamorous, though. It is brutal and ugly. The movie was made in 2013, but despite being shown at various film festivals and similar events, it was not released until now. I think that the extreme nature of it might be one reason it took so long to be unleashed on the world. Yet, somehow there's an artistic vibe to this whole thing. The subject matter is exceedingly dark, but they somehow take an unflinching, yet artistic and sometimes surreal approach to presenting it. This is definitely not something that will appeal to anything close to everyone, but it has its merits. As with most anthologies, this is uneven. Some stories work better than others. While I said that this is not a fun movie, one segment, Hell Chef, has a sick sense of playfulness to it. That is the Japanese story, and it has a real Japanese quirkiness to it. It features graphic depictions of violence and cannibalism, yet the playfulness of the segment made me laugh at times. As gory as it was also entertaining in a surreal way. I was repulsed and grossed out by the section, but also found it fun. Mind you, it didn't make sense to me completely, but I liked that section more than any of the others. An English language section that had Clint Howard in the cast, Basement, probably feels the most normal. That part is based on a true story. It is also brutal and repulsive, but shows how you really never know who the people you live next to really are. They may have deep, dark secrets hidden away, but yet they seem perfectly normal to the outside world. A German section that takes place during World War II is very realistic. It is a personal story of a family and a doctor. It is probably the least graphic piece of the film. It's also poignant and still brutal and very ugly. A section centered on a cult trying to turn humans into animals is another particularly effective one. It is an Italian one, and it feels very much like one expects from extreme Italian horror to me. The Good Wife section is another English language one that stands out. It features a very brutal serial killer, and the story centers on what happens when his wife finds out what he does when he leaves the house. Again, this movie is not for everyone. It does have its charms. I'm sure some people, particularly those who are more into torture films and extreme cannibalistic ones, will appreciate this more than I did. I can definitely see many of the merits of this movie, even if I personally didn't find it an easy viewing experience. It is revolting and disturbing, but I think it's actually supposed to be. That is a big part of the artistic vision that seems to be presented here. I should mention that this does include a lot of bonus material, but I'll also admit that I didn't tackle any of that because this movie, while I do appreciate it, was not an easy experience for me. I couldn't bring myself to tackle the bonuses. Spooky Ventures is the home for spooky content and spooky merchandise on the web. Check it out today at spookyventures.com. And remember, always keep it spooky.